Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. Boy, do we have a lot to chew on today. By the way, I am so glad that you decided to tune in to Dodgers Daily today. Going to have a little bit of a rant on the game last night as far as some of the things that happened, so stay tuned for that. Hey, also, although the Dodgers lost to the Cardinals, who, by the way, are playing a lot better than the last time we saw them in Los Angeles. Matter of fact, they're pretty good right now as far as offensively how they're playing. Okay, all the four affiliates won last night, so that was good. But like I said, anytime that you have an evening of 5 games, you always want that win at the top. The Los Angeles Dodgers were not able to get it, so you dropped the first game in St. Louis. You really need to win those next 2 because then you have the Braves and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays on the horizon on the road amidst this 10-game road streak. So I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. We have a lot to get to. Hey, before we dive into all that, just a reminder, if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily, we do now have a GoFundMe account. We have the link to that GoFundMe account in the description. Scroll down the description and click that link. It'll take you right to the Dodgers Daily GoFundMe account. Also, we have a Patreon account. Just go to Patreon and search Dodgers Daily, and we have different tiers. Become a Patreon member, and you can help Dodgers Daily by doing that as well. Also, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily. Share this video, become a subscriber. After you subscribe, okay, turn on those notifications. Click that notification bell. That way, every time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you'll be notified and you won't miss a thing from Dodgers Daily. Okay, the game last night, it was wild and it was crazy. The Dodgers got way down. They came back, almost came back, then they got way down again and lost the game. So, hey, lots to talk about. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it and let's talk Dodgers baseball. So the Cardinals scored 2 touchdowns. The Dodgers scored 1. All 3 of the scores had a 2-point conversion after it, and the end score is 16-8. I kid, of course. 16-8, 24 runs. You don't see that very often, and you certainly don't see it very often with the Dodgers being on the short end of that stick, but they certainly were last night. Okay, let's start out with the positives of last night. There was a very, very, very big one. Home run number 300 for Freddie Freeman. Just a terrific player. What a terrific human being. Dodgers fans, we are super lucky that we're getting to see the excellence of Freddie Freeman both on the field and off the field and getting to experience it as Dodgers fans each and every day. So appreciate the fact, kind of like when Vin Scully was in the booth, every time he came on the air for a Dodgers broadcast, you needed to just appreciate it, soak it in, because he is just special, one of a kind. Freddie Freeman is in, that elite kind of category. Whereas Dodgers fans, you need to really appreciate the fact that you have the ability to watch his greatness, his eliteness, like I said, both on and off the field each and every day. And home run number 300 came with a grand slam. So congratulations, Freddie Freeman. Well deserved. I am so impressed by this young man. He is such an impressive human being. So Freddie Freeman, congratulations. And then Miguel Vargas had 2 hits last night. And I'll tell you what, Miguel Vargas, he has all the walks. He had the walk that tied the game a couple of nights ago. He had 2 hits last night. I'm going to turn to my notes here to my right. And so if you see me looking at that, that's actually what I'm looking at. And I'm going to scroll to some of this. So Miguel Vargas, he actually last night was 2 for 3. He has hits in 5 games in a row, does Miguel Vargas. He has hits in 7 out of his last 8 games, and he's 6 for his last 15 with 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored, and 8 total bases. So Miguel Vargas, he's been playing real good offense, the offense that we've expected out of him. Getting on base, great plate discipline, drawing big walks, and then whenever the ball does come in the strike zone, he's doing damage with it and getting multi-hit games and getting on base, getting hits, and driving in runs. So Miguel Vargas, a definite positive, although he had the error defensively last night. He was definitely a positive on the offensive side of the ball. So, okay, Freddie Freeman, home run number 300 on a grand slam. Miguel Vargas, 2 hits, 2 very big positives last night for the Dodgers. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, let's talk about this. Okay, first of all, there were 2 decisions last night that were really, really difficult, just to kind of, I don't want to say stomach, but to analyze and chew on. The first one being Mookie Betts, taking him out in the 5th inning. And I'm going to actually cover that one after I talk about the second decision that, in my opinion, was very difficult to just kind of analyze, and that was Andrejackson. Okay, and I'm going to look at my notes. I'm going to make sure I get all this right. So if I look to my right, that's what I'm doing here. Okay, Andrejackson. First of all, okay, I've heard it said that Doc wasn't playing to win when he brought him back out there, in that last inning that he pitched. He had thrown 3 innings, and then he was gassed and all this. Okay, first of all, Andrejackson is trained to be a starter. Okay, 3 innings doesn't tire him. He wasn't tired. He wasn't out of gas. He wasn't any of that. As a matter of fact, let me explain right here. Okay, Andrejackson had faced 10 hitters going into the 8th inning. Okay, so going into the 8th inning, he had faced 10 hitters, and he had retired 9. Okay, and the only hitter that he had not retired, guess how that hitter got on base? Okay, he got on with an error. So he had faced he had faced 10 hitters, and he had gotten all 10 out. Now, you can't help it if the defense behind him makes an error. Okay, but 9 had actually been officially retired. So, Yency Almonte comes in and gives up the 4 runs. Okay, so if you take out Andrejackson, who had finally stabilized the game, after retiring 9 out of 10 hitters, and the one hitter that got on base got on via error, and you take out Andrejackson in that game with the Dodgers only down 1, and then Yency Almonte comes in and gives up 4 runs then, okay, I can only imagine how much the Dodgers fans today would be throwing their hands up to that. Okay, Dave Roberts was not giving that game away. He was not playing, hey, this is 1 out of 62. We're going to lose a battle to win the war type of thing last night. Dave Roberts, by leaving Andrejackson in, was trying to win the game because Andrejackson, to that point, had been the best pitcher the Dodgers had. Okay, now here's the deal too. Okay, he got in the 8th inning, the bottom of the 8th inning, the first hitter he faced, he got a 2-pitch out. A 2-pitch out. Okay, so at that point, all right, he came into the inning having retired 9 out of 10. We talked about the only one being an error. Then he gets another 2-pitch out. So that's 10, okay? Basically the last, 11 guys that he's faced, he's gotten out. Why in the world would you take him out then? I just don't understand when I hear people talk about, when I hear criticism of leaving Andrejackson in. Why in the world at that point would you even consider taking Andrejackson out? He's the only one who's done a job at you really going to take him out after he's retired 10 in a row or 10 of the last 11 and really 11 out of the last 11 because it's not his fault the error was made? I'm going to ask again, okay? Why would you take him out? And again, let me kind of give some context here. Okay, I've been in many war rooms, okay, and with my staff over the years, I told them when we're in the war room and we're talking about decisions, don't ever leave anything on the table. Let me know what you think, guys. Hey, we're big boys here. We can take it. It's our job to get our opinions out there and tell you how we think. And then it's the people's job at the top to take all of that information and make the best decision for the kids, to put the kids in the best position. In this situation, it's the players in the Dodgers organization. Okay, so I'm going to ask again, okay? Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Why would it make sense for Dave Roberts to take out Andrejackson after he had recorded a 2-pitch out in the 8th inning and retired 10 out of the last 11, and the one guy he didn't retire had been an error? Why would you take him out right there? Okay? Doesn't seem like it would make sense to me, especially how the game had been going at that point. Okay, so then he gives up 2 hits, all right, and one of them is on a changeup, one of them is on a 4-seam fastball. Okay, the last 2 hits. Okay, so at that point, you look at it and you go, okay, well, now he's lost a little bit of command, okay, and he's getting hit by both the pitches he has that night, his 4-seam and his changeup. So at that point, if you're Dave Roberts, you're going, okay, well, at this point, I have visual evidence that he no longer is as effective as he was, which you didn't have after the first out of the 8th inning. Okay, when you give up a hit on each hit is on both the pitches you throw that night, and you've lost command, time to go. Well, guess what Dave Roberts did? He took him out. Okay, so honestly, when you actually, if you're fair to how this thing went down with Andrejackson last night, okay, Dave Roberts was absolutely, in my opinion, And based off of, just the hardcore data of exactly what had happened in this game and how things had gone, he was 100% correct to leave Andre Jackson in to start the 8th. He was 100% correct to leave him in after the first 2-pitch out. And he took him out at the exact right moment after he had given up a hit on his 4-seam and his changeup, showing that the Cardinals, the second time through the lineup, were on him. As soon as they're on him, you go get the guy who was so wonderful last year, Yency Almonte, who has been up and down, but we know when he's hot, he goes on heaters, and he can easily come out, 1 out, 2 runners on, come out, throw that slider, sweeper, whatever you want to call it, and get out of that inning, okay? Or maybe give up 1 run. Now you're just down 2, okay? And the way the Dodgers slug, no big deal, right? Okay, you got 1 more at bat, and you see what you got. All right, so I'm going to circle back around and ask you again. If you think that Robert should have pulled Andre Jackson before then, my question for you would be why? Okay, and certainly why after you saw that he got a 2-pitch out at the beginning of the 8th inning. And then certainly, okay, one of the things I always asked was, hey, if you have a criticism of something I did, okay, wonderful. I want to hear it. I want to hear all the things that I did wrong because I don't want to do them again, because I always want to put the kids/players in the best position to win. But if you have that criticism, I need to know what your solution was. Okay, so, you can say, hey, well, he should have taken Andre Jackson out. Okay, so what's your solution? I'm going to say it again. The bullpen has thrown 26 innings in the last 4 games. It had an unscheduled bullpen game whenever Dustin May had to go out the other night. So it had been absolutely taxed. So what is your solution? Was your solution to bring in Yency Almonte earlier? Well, he gave up 4 runs. He was worse than Andre Jackson. Okay? So not only, can you look at the data and look at actually how the game played out, the way that the 8th inning started, and realize that, hey, he should have been in the game that time, and that he actually did get taken out at the right time. Beyond all of that, what other alternative did Dave Roberts have? The one alternative he had, he went to and gave up 4 runs. It's called Yency Almonte. Okay, so again, if you're going to complain, not necessarily, I'm not talking to fans necessarily. I'm just talking about anybody who it's easy just to complain. Look back on 2020 hindsight, that kind of thing, and look back on it and go, well, he shouldn't have done that. Okay, that's fine, but then what should he have done? Okay, so I would be curious, and our comments are always so wonderful. We have the best baseball fans. Hey, Dodgers Daily isn't huge. It's kind of still mom and popish. It's still small, but I'll tell you what, the fans that Dodgers Daily has, the comments that I get and this site gets on a daily basis are so incredibly awesome. So I'm so pumped and I'm so excited to hear you guys' comments about, hey, what would you have done instead? Who would you have brought in? What would your solution have been instead of starting Andre Jackson in the 8th inning? Okay, so that's my rant on that. All right, so let's circle around back now to Mookie Betts. All right. Okay. I defend Dave Roberts, and I do it with data. I do it, and I'm a history teacher, and I teach kids how to write what's called a document-based essay. Okay, so what you do, you write your thesis first. That's the first thing you write. And in your thesis, the first thing you write is a counter argument. So you write your counter argument, then you give your argument, and throughout your essay, what you're trying to do is you're trying to give all the evidence to the counter argument and then all the evidence to your argument. And then you're trying to convince the reader that after they've seen all the evidence on both sides, that your argument makes the most amount of sense. That's how you convince somebody that they're correct. Okay, so, all right. I defend Dave Roberts on a lot of things he does, and I try to use data. I try to use analysis that is based on hardcore evidence to do so with, because I think he takes on fire from fans who complain about what he did, but then don't know what the alternative would be. Okay, and or haven't really taken the time to dive into what other options he didn't have at the time, or how things did work in other situations, doing the exact same thing, and he tend to blow past that. So, okay, long story right there to say I defend Dave Roberts. I'm a fan of his. I wouldn't want anybody else to be the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay? Having said all that, my grandpa taught me, hey, if somebody starts complimenting you, wait for the but. Hey, just wait for that but, because you're going to hear everything you need to know after that but. Yeah, hey, you're wonderful. Hey, you're great. But, okay, what really matters is what comes after you hear the word but you need to start doing this, right? Okay, so I say all these nice things about Dave Roberts. Here comes the but, okay? Why in the world do you take out Mookie Betts in the 5th inning? There is no excuse whatsoever. There's no reason whatsoever. There is no, there's a saying, you lose battles to win the war. There's no war to win. I mean, Mookie Betts here, he's a thoroughbred. He has been, asking the Dodgers in very polite ways to give him more of a taxing role, not less. Okay, I can understand, maybe if you're taking a pitcher out, if you're taking out a catcher or somebody who plays a demanding position. But Mookie Betts, I mean, you're going to take him out in the 5th inning and you're going to say it's because you want to save him for what? I mean, there's no war that you're winning here by losing that battle last night. Okay, that's a give up move. That tells your team that you think that you're going to lose that night. And here's the reasoning why. Dave Roberts' reasoning why had a lot of merit to it. Okay, again, the bullpen had thrown 26 innings in the last 4 games. So they were taxed. Let me get back in on my notes right here. Okay, so they were taxed. He knew that. The St. Louis Cardinals are hot right now offensively. He knew that. So he knew the odds of the Dodgers winning that game right then were low. Okay, and I don't disagree with that at all. As a matter of fact, the score at that point was 9-2. Okay, the odds of a major league team coming back and winning a 9-2 game. Hey, the Dodgers might score 7 runs, but how in the world with a bullpen that has thrown 26 innings the last 4 games, how are you going to keep St. Louis from scoring again? Dave Roberts was not wrong on any of those accounts. The odds were extremely low that the Dodgers were going to lose that game. Whether it be not scoring enough, not scoring 7 runs to come back and catch up, or even if you do score the 7, not being able to hold the Cardinals, something of which we saw, obviously, in the 8th inning. He's not wrong on any of those points. Doesn't matter. 5th inning, you don't take out your dudes. You don't. Not in the 5th inning. It's too early. You don't. It's just a bad look, in my opinion. You don't ever, especially with a team like the Dodgers, man. Hey, it's a 7-run game. We saw the Dodgers almost came all the way back, and that's because they slug. We saw the home run by Max Muncy. When you have a team that can hit as many home runs as the Dodgers can. Hey, maybe if you're UCLA in the first couple of years at TD Ameritrade with the wind blowing straight in and teams are winning every game 1-0 in the College World Series, and so you're averaging 1 run a game for the last 25 games, okay, yeah, maybe I can understand. But when you're the Dodgers and you've consistently put up 4, 5, 6 spots in innings because you hit home runs, something you did last night, you scored 5, okay? You don't take out Mookie Betts. You don't do it. You don't make the statement to your team that we are going to lose tonight. You don't ever do that in the 5th inning. Okay, now there are times where you do have to lose battles to win wars, meaning that, hey, yeah, you are making the statement that, hey, guys, hey, you had 7 or 8 innings to win this game tonight. You're down 10 runs. We're not going to win. Let's just, get some rest. We've had a long stretch. We have a big 10-game road stand. We need as much rest, and we need to be as fresh as we possibly can. There are times where you do that. 7th inning, 8th inning, your catcher, a pitcher. But Mookie Betts, not in my opinion, okay? And so that, if you can't tell, that decision there, very frustrated with that. I just can't ever agree with giving up on a game that early with an offense like the Dodgers have that can score in bunches by hitting home runs. I can't agree with it. So from that perspective, I can't get on board with taking Mookie Betts out. And I also say this, I'm a little bit disappointed that Mookie Betts just kind of let him. If I'm a dude on a team like Mookie Betts is, no doubt about it, and I'm making all this money and I've got all these people looking up to me to be this dude on this team, okay, man, it's 9-2. I'm not coming out of that game. At least I'm doing everything I can. And maybe Mookie Betts did. I don't know. But, so from that perspective, I'm a little disappointed that it went as smoothly as it did as far as him coming out. And then, Roberts doubled down on it after the game. and cracked the joke about, hey, he was glad, he told Mookie he was glad that, he took him out because Trayce Thompson had a good. It's not about the at-bats Trayce Thompson had, okay? You're a manager that always plays the odds. You're a manager that uses analytics and data to play the long-term odds. Don't tell me that ever putting Trayce Thompson in over Mookie Betts increases your odds. They don't. So don't fill me full of the double down jokes after you just massively and brutally made a mistake. Own it. Okay? Own it. Say, get up to the microphone and make the statement. Here's what he should have said, in my opinion. Okay, listen. Our bullpen, and let's see and leave me a comment on this. Would you have accepted this explanation from from Dave Roberts, or do you think I'm wrong on all? That's fine. Hey, let's have a great conversation on it. Again, hey, Dave Roberts is wonderful. I wouldn't want anybody else to be the Dodgers manager. And boy, it's very impressive what the Dodgers have done. I've said it many different times with all the different moving parts this year. Fantastic. The front office is great. We're talking about, this one individual isolated incident, and we're going to do it, in a way that has at least our data and our evidence behind it. If Dave Roberts would have got up to the podium and said this, hey, listen, guys, our bullpen has thrown 26 innings in the last 4 games. Have you noticed that? Okay. And at that point, knowing that our bullpen was so taxed, already down 7 runs, okay, I just thought that, it's not obviously impossible to come back, but when you look at a 92 score with the way that our bullpen has been taxed, the odds were so low of us coming back at that point that I decided to give some guys some rest, specifically Mookie Betts. At that point, hey, that's on me. It was absolutely the wrong decision. As we saw, Max Muncy hit the home run. This is a team I should have taken into better account, that this is a team that can score in bunches because they hit a lot of home runs. That was the wrong decision on my part. My bad. How would you have taken that? If you had come out and said that, instead of saying, well, I joked around with Mookie that I was glad I took him out because Trayce Thompson had a good. I think that doubled down, made it worse. Okay, so how would you have accepted that if Roberts would have just came out and owned it like that? To me, it would have washed it away. I went, okay, fine. Hey, you're the manager. You're the one who knows the long-term goals versus the short-term goals. You're the one who knows best for your players in that dugout. Nobody knows best, as far as, hey, when's it time to play the long-term game? When's it time to play the short-term game? That's why you get paid, dude. I mean, that's why you are the manager. And by the way, you are really, really good at it. I would have totally accepted that. Where I got frustrated, and the reason why I'm addressing it today, more so was the comments afterwards. Just own it, man. It wasn't the right decision. The Dodgers almost came back and won, okay? Just my opinion. I could be wrong. Do you disagree with me on that? Leave me a comment below. Hey, let's talk Dodgers baseball. I could do it every day and twice on Sundays. So, hey, the Dodgers came back. They got within 1 run. Andrejackson, he gets pulled. Yency Almonte gives up the 4 runs. And then the next thing you know, it becomes a 16-8 game. All right, let's circle all the way back around to Julio Urias, okay? All right, man, there's some stuff to worry about here. And again, I'm going to get to my notes. And so if I look at my notes, please, just know that I'm looking to my right to make sure these numbers are correct. Okay, so Julio Urias, all right. How about this? All right, his hits in the 3rd inning. He gave up a single on his 4-seam, okay? On the walk, all 4 balls were on his 4-seam. And then Contreras hit a changeup on the first pitch. So here's the problem. Here's what happened there. All right, Urias had lost command of his 4-seam. So guess what Contreras was sitting on? He wasn't sitting on the 4-seam. He was spitting on the 4-seam, and he was waiting for that changeup, and he ambushed it. Okay, because he paid attention. If you paid attention at that point when Contreras hit his home run, you realize that Urias is not in the zone with his 4-seam. I'm going to sit on something soft, and when I get it, I'm going to jump on it. And the changeup, even worse than maybe the slurve and or the sweeper. It sometimes it doesn't have the drop, the tumble to it, and it just becomes a bad fastball. So credit to Contreras for paying attention that Urias had lost command of his 4-seam and sitting soft. He did that. He ambushes a pitch. So at that point, the problem is Urias is not throwing strikes with his 4-seam. That's the problem at that point. Okay, Yepes, he had a 4-seam. He had a 4-seam ball. So again, Urias threw his four-seam again for another ball, and then he hit a home run on a changeup. Okay, so guess what Yepes was doing? Well, he was spitting on the four-seam because, again, Urias still was having command issues with his four-seam and sitting soft, specifically changeup, and he ambushed that. So give the Cardinals credit at that point. Urias was not executing with his four-seam fastball. It's easier said than done to sit soft and to actually execute against soft. So, okay, give Yepes and Contreras credit to that point. Here's where it gets concerning as Dodgers fans, because at this point you can say, hey, if Urias just has command of his four-seam, everything's okay, because now they can't just sit on one pitch. They can't just sit soft. Their timing is off. So at that point, it's in, as far as what's going wrong, it's totally being dictated by Urias, and it's totally fixable, which is, from a coaching perspective, isn't anything to worry about. Here's, in my opinion, where it gets worrisome as a Dodgers fan. Okay, at that point, 7 out of the 10 four-seams that inning had been balls. So, like I said, he had lost command of his four-seam. Then Gorman got a home run. He had a home run on the slurve, so again, sitting soft. And then De Jong, I can't say his name. I'm going to quit trying to say it. Hit a home run on the four-seam. So at this point, here's where it's worrisome. You gave up a home run on a changeup, home run on a four-seam, and a home run on the slurve. So that tells you that his actual pitches at that point, they were on, and they were dialed in on them. That's where it becomes worrisome, because whenever you have a struggle like that, the first thing you do is, okay, well, what went wrong? What can we correct? And if you dive into it and you realize that everything that went wrong can be corrected, that really calms you down and makes you feel better about it, because you have control over that now. But when you look and you've given up home runs on 3 different pitches, what is there really to correct other than the fact that, the thing about the four-seam is that everything else plays off of it. So if you're not locating it, then it makes everything else easier to hit. And then sometimes when you're not throwing strikes with it, you just try to throw me a get-me-over four-seam, and it has a couple of miles an hour less on it, has a little bit less horizontal movement, a little less vertical movement, and becomes much more hittable, which is what happened at Urias. But the concerning part of that to me, is the fact that he gave up hits on 3 different pitches at that point. So Julio Urias, again, struggled last night. Are you worried about him? Again, we have the best crowd, the best fans here at Dodgers Daily. I love the communications we have. So leave me a comment. Are you worried about Julio Urias and, last night and his struggles? And quite frankly, some other games this year where he struggled as well. So, okay, those are my thoughts. That was a lot. Those are my thoughts on the game last night. Again, leave me some comments. Tell me what you think. Let's talk Dodgers baseball. Just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right, okay? I've been wrong way more times than I've been right. So, hey, if I'm not, if you have a disagreement with me, let me know what you think, and let's get after it. So that concludes our talk about the Dodgers for this show. Let's now transition to the minor leagues, and let's take a trip down the farm. The AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers scored 2 in the first, and they had single runs in both the second and third innings. They scored 2 in the fifth, and that's all they needed. They had a 6-4 win last night over the AAA affiliates of the Houston Astros. Last night, JonnyDeluca, who we're going to talk about here in a minute, had a good night. Drew Avans had a hit. JonnyDeluca, as a matter of fact, had 3 hits. Steven Duggar had a hit. Justin Yurchak had a hit. We're going to go over some of the video, but hey, I have lots of video. I took this from about 3 rows up, and so you can go on any of my social media platforms and check out. I have a bunch of different at-bats. I have Adamkolarek, I have wandersuero, and then Matt Andriese, who started the game last night. And so if you want to see video from up close, what these guys look like from the third row, I have everything you need. Adamkolarek right here. Okay, this is from behind home plate, and I was really excited to watch. I had never seen him from behind home plate like this. I could not wait to see his side-winding motion and just see how difficult it was on left-handers. If you look, that lefty right there just doesn't pick it up, because it's like he's releasing that ball from behind. It's like the ball's behind the back of the hitter. When he releases it, you saw him jam a guy right there. So I was super excited to see Adamkolarek pitch last night. And hey, by the way, Adamkolarek is having a terrific year at AAA Oklahoma City. His ERA for the year is just 0.66. So it'll be interesting to see we've seen him have success at the major league level, so we know he can get major league outs. It'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers give him a chance with the great year he's having to come back up and be a part of the Los Angeles bullpen. JonnyDeluca had 3 hits for AAA Oklahoma City, including a second double since being promoted. This guy is big time. I'm telling you, he has a major league presence to him, major league talent. His style, the way he hits home runs, the way he can hit for average, the way he can steal bases, it plays at every single level. I'm telling you, this dude is big time. He had 4 RBIs last night, all with 2 outs, and he had 2 stolen bases. So, some guys, the bigger the moment you give them, the bigger challenge, the better they perform. JonnyDeluca is certainly that guy. So, hey, playing well as he just got recently promoted. JonnyDeluca. Been kind of a weird year for left-hander out of Binghamton, Justin Yurchak, who has been on the development list quite a bit and then off of it, and while he's been off of it, he's done like he always does and played great offense. He went 1 for 2 last night, and he got on base 3 times as he walked twice as well. Very good understanding, as you're seeing here, of the strike zone. One of the reasons why some guys can hit for a high average is because they know what pitch to hit. Offense in baseball is difficult enough to hit a round ball with a round object. It's hard enough to begin with, but whenever you expand the strike zone and don't swing at strikes, it makes it almost impossible. So as you can see here, Justin Yurchak, one of the reasons why he is such a good hitter is because he has such a good command of the strike zone. Yurchak is hitting .292, OPS 827. Here's a good look at my man Mark Washington, who threw a scoreless inning last night for AAA Oklahoma City. Washington hit as high as 96.2. He sat actually 95.2, but he did hit as high as 96.2. Last night was his 4th scoreless outing out of 5 this month, so he's on another heater. Mark Washington goes on quite a few heaters where he just does not allow any kind of runs. And his ERA this month, Mark Washington, is just .270. His whip is just .060, and his average against in May is .111. So Mark Washington continues to do a good job for AAA Oklahoma City. Wandersuero is another guy that is on a minor league contract, major league talent and major league experience. We saw him come up with Los Angeles and have a couple of good outings with them, and you're getting a really good look at his 2-seam right there. Look at the movement on that. There's that changeup that has such movement. This is going to be the last out here, and just look at that changeup, how it tumbles off the table to Hunter Fiducia right there. Really good pitch, so I wanted to show you a field level look at Wandersuero and his major league caliber stuff. He went scoreless last night. His ERA, Wandersuero's is on the year, is just .132, and his whip is .095. Average against of .130. So you see that pitch. Look how it tails away from a righty to the arm side, and then it has that right there, that tail right there. And then you saw the tumble right here. Watch the tumble, the changeup. Good pitch, Wandersuero. The AA Tulsa Drillers, they didn't score until the 4th inning, and they only scored 1 run, and that was absolutely it. That was all they were able to score. They lost 4-1 last night. But hey, I'll tell you what, although there wasn't a whole lot of offense, Diego Cartaya had a double. Eddysleonard had 2 hits. Landonknack was just absolutely terrific again for AA Tulsa. You're seeing him right here. The sequence you're seeing, if you go back to the first pitch of the sequence, he actually threw a curveball to start the inning. Then he threw a changeup. Then he located his 4-seam up and in, his 4-seam up and away. Then he buried back in on the hands a little cutter/slider pitch. That sequencing, all for strikes, except for when you're trying to set the hitter up. That is very, very, very elite. That is high-level stuff, major league caliber stuff, and that's why Landonknack has been thought of so well, because he sequences so well. And he's doing it at 96 miles an hour like he was last night. So he's doing it with good velo, 4 pitches, great location. Not only do you have the pitches and all the metrics on their pitches and all the velo and all that, you're also able to sequence them together to where the hitter just literally has no chance at having any kind of idea of what the pattern is that you're trying to attack them with. So, hey, Landonknack, terrific job, a 4-pitch strike thrower. He is elite at sequencing, and when he is executing like he has this year, he is just absolutely fantastic. As a matter of fact, this year his ERA is just .159, and his whip was just .085. Great job, Landon. Keep up the great work. Eddysleonard, you're seeing right here. I love this swing. See that dribbler up the middle, that 3-hopper? Okay, what I really like about him, and we're going to see him swing this same one over and over. watch how compact and quick this swing is to the ball. Look, just no wasted movement. I mean, when you look at his load, you look at his stride, nothing is wasted. His balance stays either centered, maybe a little bit to the back. You know, he just stays over the ball, and he is just very, very compact, but yet he packs a big punch. That's why, you know, I know he got off to the slow start, but he's had a tremendous month of May. One of the reasons why I think eddysleonard has a chance, you know, that swing right there is so short and so compact. Not a whole lot can go wrong with it. And I'll tell you what, when you're facing this stuff and location that Major League pitchers have at that level, man, the more complicated your swing is, the more likely you are to not be consistent. You need something that you can replicate and duplicate over and over and over. You tell me, watch this swing. I mean, what can go wrong with that, right? So I think eddysleonard has a chance to be a very, very, very solid hitter at the Major League level for those very reasons. And I'll tell you what, in May, he is absolutely on fire. He's hitting .385 so far this month. His OPS is 1170. The Great Lakes Loons, boy, they busted one out last night. They had 5 spots in the 3rd and the 7th inning, and they blanked the West Michigan Whitecaps 10-0 last night. So it was a big night offensively. It was a good night pitching-wise as well, all the way around. Dalton Rushing had a hit. You're looking at Ronankopp right here. He had a good outing as well. We'll get to him here in a minute. Okay, Dalton Rushing had a hit and a walk, so he was on base 2 times. Yeiner Fernandez had a couple of hits. We'll talk about him here in a minute. And he also had a couple of RBIs. Taylor Young had a couple of knocks, an RBI. He was on base 3 times as well. Damon Keith had a couple of hits. We're going to talk about him as well. And 3 big RBIs as well for Damon Keith. A good night for Alex Freeman, who had a couple of hits as well and was on base 4 times last night. Jake Vogel had a hit and a walk, on base twice. And then Bubba Aline, he had a hit as well and an RBI. Okay, so who you're seeing right here is Ronankopp, who had another really nice outing last night for the Great Lakes Loons. Ronankopp, the left-hander that the Dodgers are so high on, and for very good reason. Okay, he went 3 1/3 innings last night. He gave up no runs. He struck out 3. You know, in the Midwest League, it's quite a bit colder, you know, whereas maybe down in places like Corpus Christi, you know, the Texas League, we're playing in warmer environments. You can let guys go a little bit longer because, you know, it's 75, 80 degrees outside. Well, it's a little bit cooler up in the Midwest League, so I've never really talked to anybody about this, but I would have to think, you know, as careful as the Dodgers are with arms, especially with arms as talented as guys like Ronankopp, they're a little bit more careful in those colder environments. So 3 1/3 innings last night for Ronankopp. He gave up no runs and he struck out 3. Kopp lowered his ERA down to 2.63 on the year. His average against is now down to 200. And like I said, here's a good look at him from field level. I want to thank Austin Brubaker, who provided me all the field level video last night. Look at this wonderful view right here of Ronankopp in action. He's going again tonight, so I can't wait to see the video he comes up with tonight, Friday night in the big town, the Great Lakes Loons against the West Michigan Whitecaps. Yeiner Fernandez had 2 hits and 2 RBIs, and here's a good look at Yeiner Fernandez right here as the young man, the catcher, infielder slash whatever you need him to do, one of the toughest human beings, great player, an entire at bat for him. He had 2 RBIs, and he have his average, Yeiner Fernandez does, up to 323 on the year, and he has hits in 5 of his last 6 games, 4 multi-hit games in his last 6. So Yeiner Fernandez has been playing really good offense for the Great Lakes Loons, and he just continues to be right there. You saw that, just stay inside the ball, stay short, stay compact, and just rope one into left field, drive in a couple runs. Attaboy, Yeiner. Damon Keith had 2 hits and 3 RBIs, including his 5th home run of 2023. He also extended his hit streak to 8 games, his on-base streak to 9 games, and it's 4 for his last 8 with 9 total bases, a home run, 2 doubles, and he also has 6 RBIs in the last 3 games he's played in. This is a good look at his, if you go to my social media, we're watching it right here. I don't know if I'll talk long enough to get to it, but this is actually his at-bat where he hit the home run. You can see the entire thing from field level, just kind of see the processes of how they go through and everything as far as how that goes. So Damon Keith, I've told you, hey, man, as the weather warms up, as the year goes on, he will get hot, and he has certainly done that. He has played very good offense for the Great Lakes Loons as of late and had a very good night last night. My man Taylor Young out of La Tech had 2 hits last night, and RBI was on base 3 times and scored 2 runs as well. TY, as he's called, has hits in 6 games in a row, and he's been on base in 11 games in a row, and he's just getting started. You ask anybody who's ever watched him play, that's the first thing I'll tell you. No matter how good of a night he's had, he's just getting started. So here's a good look at TY in action. I love this young man, the all-time hits leader at La Tech, full of super grit and baseball IQ, Taylor Young. Well, when you score 10 runs and don't give up any, you have a lot of highlights. And here's switch hitting shortstop Alex Freeman for Great Lakes, who had 2 hits last night, including a 6th double. So he had a good night. Super talented out of UCF. I love this young man. He is just a very, very, very talented young man. Okay, he was on base 4 times as well, and he scored a run. So great night for Alex Freeland. So like I said, the young man out of UCF. You see one of his hits right here. Well, he is just a really, really, really good player. Alex Freeland is, and he has hits in 3 games in a row, and he has 6 total bases in those last 3 games. Luis Diaz has had the hits, 3-hit night last night, I should say. Luis Diaz had a 3-hit night last night for the Great Lakes Loons, including his 4th double and a 2nd home run. He also had 2 RBIs, and he now has hits in 3 games in a row. So Luis Diaz, slow start for him, starting to heat up. And again, I want to thank Austin Brubaker for this wonderful footage that we're getting live from Dow Diamond in Midland, Michigan for the Great Lakes Loons. We're going to get it again tonight, Friday night. I'm super pumped about that. So, hey, go to Austin Brubaker. That's at Austin Brew 99. Follow him. He has, he'll have way more videos than I do as far as these go with the Loons. So, hey, if you want to check out these young prospects in Midland, Michigan playing for the Great Lakes Loons, he's the guy you need to follow. Again, at Austin Brew. That's at AUSTIN. That's BRU 99. That's actually at capital A Austin, at capital B Brew, BRU 99. Give him a follow. Aldryacosta, well, he just was Aldryacosta like he normally is. Last night he went 1 2/3 innings. Guess how many strikeouts he had? 0. Guess how many guys made soft contact? All of them. He just moves the ball, he locates, and he stays away from barrels, and he's the best I've seen at inducing just weak contact. It's just like guys never barrel him up, and he's been as close to automatic as you can get. He's only allowed 1 run since his first outing of the year. So Aldryacosta, young man, is like he did last year after he got off the injured list. Boy, he was just lights out. He's lights out again this year, Aldryacosta. You know, we saw Andrejackson. The Dodgers like to use him in that, bulk inning role. That's what they like to call it, where it's not necessarily a starter. You come in the middle innings, but then you give the most amount of innings of anybody other than the starter, and sometimes more than the starter does. Well, Robbiepeto has mastered that role at the minor league level, specifically for the Great Lakes Loons. He was great again last night in what I call the bulk inning role. He went 3 innings, innings 6 through 8 in the game. He gave up no runs, just 1 hit, and he struck out 4. Okay, so kind of like that Andrejackson role where he's kind of like a second starter in the game, if you will. That versatility is absolutely totally valuable, especially if you go through periods like the Dodgers have where they've used their bullpen so much. A guy like Robbiepeto that can come in, in the bullpen, from the bullpen, and give you 3 innings, sometimes 4, maybe 5, is super valuable. And, that's why he's also 4-0 on the year. Because Daniel Nava and DA, David Anderson, they figure out when they need length from Peto. He comes out, he does his job, he gets wins. So 4-0 on the year. He got the win last night. Robbiepeto. Hey, how about Jack Dreyer, the young man out of Iowa who signed a free agent contract in 2021, and he had just been absolutely grinding to get back on the mound for the Dodgers, and he did a great job last night. He went 1 inning scoreless. He got the last 3 outs for Great Lakes, and Dreyer has gone scoreless in 8 of his last 9 outings and in 10 of 12 overall in the season. So great job, Jack Dreyer. Keep the grind. Keep grinding, Jack. So there you have it. I had my rant for the Los Angeles game last night, and then we had the happy news about the 4 affiliates winning all their games. A lot to get to in this show, so I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope that you tune in to tomorrow's show as well. And before we get out of here, I want to remind you one last time, hey, if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily, we do now have a GoFundMe account. scroll down in the description, and we have the link to the GoFundMe account in the description. All you got to do is click that. It takes you right to the GoFundMe Dodgers Daily page, and you can donate right there. Also, we have a Patreon page. Just search Patreon, and then once you're in Patreon, search Dodgers Daily. We have different tiers. Become a member if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily by being a Patreon Dodgers Daily member. Also, hey, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click the like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, share this video, and then after you subscribe, turn on those notifications. Click that notification bell. That way, every time Dodgers Daily releases a video, you'll be notified. You won't miss a thing, and Dodgers Daily can keep growing, and we can keep doing what we love to do, which is providing videos like this in the future. As always, hey, thanks for tuning in, and go Dodgers.